There is a hidden current flowing through you, silent, unseen, eternal. Every heartbeat is not simply a rhythm of flesh, it is the echo of the divine pulse that sustains all creation. When the mind grows quiet and the heart returns to remembrance, this current awakens and the body begins to repair what the spirit once forgot. The real has placed within you a secret garden that never dies, a light that renews itself with every breath. Healing is not something that happens to you, it is something that unfolds from within you. When you remember who moves your breath, the body does not wait for time, it waits for awareness. And when that awareness returns to the source, even in a single night, the impossible becomes whole again. Teaching. Beneath the skin, deeper than blood and breath, there moves a river that no eye has seen. It does not flow with water, but with remembrance. Each cell, each pulse, each subtle vibration within you carries its current. When you grow silent, you can feel it. A slow, rhythmic song that was never born and will never die. The real placed this river within you, so that even when you forget, life remembers on your behalf. It flows for him, through you. This river is not confined by veins or flesh. It runs through spirit and matter alike, connecting body to soul, time to eternity. Its current obeys not the laws of nature, but the command of mercy. When the heart falls into harmony with divine remembrance, the river brightens, carrying light through every corner of being. Sickness fades like darkness before dawn, for where light flows, nothing false can remain. The mystic learns to listen, not to heartbeat, but to current. Beneath anxiety, beneath pain, beneath noise, there is motion, a sacred stillness that hums with life. To feel it is to awaken to the truth that healing is not something sought, but remembered. For the body was not created in brokenness. It was made in divine symmetry, forever seeking return to balance. The river knows the way home. When fear arises, the river slows. It does not stop, but it hides beneath the dust of worry. The more the mind grasps, the murkier it becomes. But when you release control, when you whisper, "You are the healer, not I," the current clears again. The real has made healing effortless for the one who trusts, for faith opens channels that thought alone cannot. This river is prayer without words. It praises with every movement of breath, every repair of tissue, every spark of renewal unseen by human eyes. The body is not your servant, it is your companion in remembrance. Each function is a form of worship, a reflection of divine precision. When you treat it with reverence, it answers with harmony. There are moments when you feel drained, hollow, weary, as though the river has run dry, yet even then it moves underground. The silence of exhaustion is not emptiness, it is recalibration. The real withdraws your strength so that you might remember its source. When you surrender to rest, the unseen current gathers itself again, stronger, clearer, purer. Every pain you feel is a ripple in that sacred stream. It is the body's way of pointing toward imbalance, not punishment, but guidance. The river speaks through sensation, calling attention to where awareness has dimmed. Do not silence it with distraction. Listen. Healing begins when you honor what the body reveals, without fear or judgment. The saints have said, the body itself performs seek. The pulse repeats the name, the breath carries praise, the nerves vibrate with remembrance. Even while you sleep, the river flows in worship. You need only awaken to it, not by force, but by stillness. Awareness is the prayer that keeps the current pure. When the mind grows quiet, the flow becomes audible within. It sounds not like water, but like serenity unfolding. This is why silence heals. It removes the debris of thought that blocks the channel. Every deep exhale washes away a layer of resistance. Soon the river glides freely, turning tension into peace and peace into light. The real designed your body as a map to the unseen. Every pathway of energy, every rhythm of breath mirrors the structure of the heavens. To heal is to realign the microcosm with the macrocosm. The same order that turns planets in their orbits turns blood within your veins. The river in you flows with the same law that moves the stars. At the center of this river is remembrance, the knowing that you belong entirely to the one who sustains all life. Forgetfulness creates turbulence. Awareness restores calm. Thus, every moment of remembrance is medicine. The greatest healer is not found outside but within the return of consciousness to its origin. The mystic does not ask for healing. He aligns with it. He stands beside the river, silent and watchful, letting its rhythm cleanse him. No striving, no demanding, only presence, for the real heals through harmony, not through haste. The river is patient because truth has no urgency. It flows in divine time. Sometimes, the river becomes a mirror. In stillness, you see reflected your own shadows, fears, regrets, attachments. This reflection is grace, not condemnation. The water shows what must be released, so the light may pass through unobstructed. To purify is not to destroy, it is to reveal. The clear stream always existed beneath the mud. As awareness deepens, you realize that the river is not flowing in you. You are flowing in it. The body, the mind, the soul, all are currents within the ocean of divine energy. Healing, then, is the remembrance that you were never separate from the source. The current carries you even when you imagine you are lost. In moments of gratitude, the current brightens. Gratitude expands the channel. Complaint constricts it. The real responds to the tone of your inner voice. To thank him is to widen the riverbed, to make space for abundance to flow. Every sincere Alhamdulillah sends ripples of light through the fabric of your being. This is why healing often begins not with medicine, but with humility. When you stop demanding explanations and begin to listen, the river speaks again. Its language is sensation, emotion, intuition, subtle and sacred. To heal is to translate this language into peace. The body already knows the words. The heart must remember how to hear them. The current never moves backward. It carries every experience, every wound, every memory toward completion. Nothing is wasted, nothing lost. Even the scars become tributaries for compassion. The one who has suffered deeply flows wider, stronger, more luminous. Pain becomes the proof of passage, not a mark of failure. The mystic feels the river in every act, walking, breathing, sitting, remembering. He sees that all movement is one movement, the return of creation to its source. His health is not measured in strength or youth, but in alignment. When he moves with the current, he is whole. When he resists, he feels broken. Wholeness is surrender in motion. The river and the worshipper become indistinguishable. There is no I am healing, there is only he flows through me. The boundaries dissolve, the doer disappears. Healing is no longer an event, but a state of remembrance, continuous, effortless, divine. In that awareness, the body glows quietly with serenity. And when you finally rest in this knowing, the river ceases to be hidden. It becomes light itself, moving without resistance, reflecting eternity. The real heals through this flow, not because you ask, but because it is his nature to restore. You are not separate from that nature. You are its reflection. The silent river that flows through you is the same mercy that sustains the stars. The body is the most ancient temple, built from two substances that seem opposed, light and dust. The light gives form to the unseen, and the dust gives weight to the infinite. The real gathered them together so that spirit might taste matter, and matter might remember its origin. When you look at your body as only flesh, you see limits. When you look through it, you see the threshold of eternity. This temple was never meant to be possessed. It was meant to be sanctified. Light entered dust, not to be trapped, but to illuminate. Each cell became a lamp, each bone a pillar, each heartbeat a prayer. The real did not breathe life into clay for the sake of animation, but for adoration. The body exists so the invisible might be praised through visible form. When you stand, you bear witness. When you bow, the dust remembers the light it once touched. This is worship woven into creation itself. The temple is alive with energy. Beneath your skin, divine architecture hums, currents of remembrance passing through invisible corridors. The heart is its dome, the breath its incense, the mind its minaret. Every sensation is a call to prayer, every exhale a release of burden. The real is not found in one corner of it. He fills the entire space, moving through every atom of being. Yet, this temple often forgets. It mistakes itself for stone and shadow. The dust grows heavy when it is not washed by remembrance. Worry, envy, and fear settle upon it like soot on sacred walls. But even in neglect, the light within never dies. It only waits. When you remember, the lamps reignite, and the whole body glows again with divine awareness. Repentance is simply the act of cleaning what was always holy. The mystic learns to listen to the temple. It speaks softly, through fatigue, through tension, through silence. Pain is not punishment. It is the knocking of light against walls that have forgotten how to open. Each ache says, "There is a door here." The healer does not command the body to obey. He invites it to remember. Healing is nothing but the temple, remembering its architect. The real did not make you from dust as a reminder of lowliness, but of closeness. Dust was chosen because it holds everything: moisture, warmth, and possibility. In its humbleness lies the secret of creation. To bow is to rise. When the light bows within the dust, life appears. To deny your earthly nature is to reject the very substance through which the divine speaks. The light within the temple is not constant flame. It flickers in response to consciousness. When you live with gratitude, it brightens. When you sink into heedlessness, it dims. But it never goes out. The real guards it, for it carries his mark. It was his first trust to you. The flame placed inside form. You were asked to keep it alive through presence. To walk consciously is to carry that flame as offering. Every movement becomes a ritual, every act a prayer. The temple was never meant to sit in darkness. Its corridors were designed for echoing the divine name. Even the smallest gesture of kindness polishes the walls again, and the air fills with fragrance unseen. The body heals through such reverence. Energy follows remembrance. The dust is patient, the light is forgiving. Together they sustain you, not as opposites, but as lovers. The dust gives shape to the light. The light gives purpose to the dust. When you divide them, you suffer. When you unite them, you awaken. Every inhale is their meeting, every exhale their prayer of gratitude. The mystic lives between these breaths, where balance is born. The prophet said, "The earth was made for me a place of prostration." Understand this: the temple of your body is not separate from the earth. It is part of it. When you place your forehead on the ground, the dust recognizes itself. It rejoices to meet its origin, and the light bows in remembrance. In that moment, all creation prays through you. This temple does not need decoration. It needs awareness. You do not honor it with vanity, but with mindfulness. Eat with presence, breathe with remembrance, move with intention. Each act done in awareness invites the real to dwell openly within. Then healing becomes effortless, the harmony of body, mind, and spirit singing in unison. There are chambers within this temple, yet unexplored. Each emotion opens a door. Each breath reveals a hallway of light. Most never wander beyond the entrance, content with rituals of the outer form. But the mystic enters deeper, guided by silence. Within the innermost chamber, he finds not himself, but the one he has been seeking all along. When storms shake the body, remember they are cleansing the temple. Suffering scrubs the dust from its corners, allowing light to circulate anew. The real sends trial as purification, not destruction. Every illness, every tear, every exhaustion, each is water drawn from unseen wells to wash the sacred walls. Pain is ablution in disguise. This temple is never abandoned. Even when the heart feels hollow, the real's presence hums in its foundation. He does not depart. He withdraws to teach you to seek. The silence within is his whisper. Come find me here again. When you answer, the echo of your response fills every chamber with light. The healer within is not separate from the worshipper. When you pray with the whole body, with breath, with gratitude, with humility, the temple rebuilds itself. The body is renewed through sincerity. The real does not wait for your perfection. He restores you the moment you turn toward him. One sincere sigh rebuilds more than 1,000 words. The dust remembers what the mind forgets. It knows the weight of prostration, the sweetness of stillness. The light within remembers the eternal covenant. Together they speak the language of unity, wordless and eternal. When you allow them to speak freely, you are healed without effort. You become the sound of harmony made visible. To dwell in this temple is to honor creation. Treating your body with gentleness is worship, not indulgence. The real entrusted you with this vessel as a reflection of his mercy. When you breathe with awareness, eat with moderation, and rest with gratitude, you participate in divine maintenance. You become caretaker of his craftsmanship. Even when this temple crumbles, its essence remains. Death is not destruction, it is renovation. The dust returns to dust, the light returns to light. Nothing is lost. The real gathers the pieces and rebuilds them in subtler form. What you call ending is simply relocation. The temple reconstructed in the unseen realm. When awareness deepens, you realize the temple was never separate from the divine. He is the builder, the inhabitant, and the light within the walls. To recognize this is liberation. The mystic no longer prays toward heaven or within himself. He sees that both directions lead to the same sanctuary. The temple and the worship are one. And when you stand in full remembrance, the temple shines as it did in the beginning. Dust glows, breath steadies, and the light moves freely through every particle. You realize that healing was not recovery, but revelation. You were never broken, only unaware of your wholeness. The temple built from light and dust was always complete, waiting for you to see it as such. Pain is the veil that trembles between the seen and the unseen. It appears as an intruder, but it is in truth a messenger, a guide sent by the real to wake what has fallen asleep. The soul, lost in comfort, forgets its source. Pain arrives to remind it. When the heart is pierced, the light begins to leak through the wound. The body cries, but the spirit listens. And in that listening, awakening begins. No soul crosses from forgetfulness to remembrance without passing through this veil. Pain burns away illusion, peeling false layers of identity, one by one. It does not come to harm, but to reveal. The real does not wound in cruelty. He carves an opening for light to enter. Every ache, every grief, every loss, each is a door disguised as fire. The wise do not flee from pain. They bow before it, for they know who sent it. The veil of pain is woven from attachment. The more you cling to what perishes, the thicker it becomes. When the beloved leaves, when health fades, when plans collapse, it is not punishment, but purification. The real is teaching you to love without ownership, to trust beyond sight. What hurts is not the loss itself, but the tearing away of illusion. When you release, peace follows like fragrance after rain. In the beginning, pain feels like exile. The seeker believes he has been cast away from mercy. But as he sits in stillness, he begins to sense the whisper beneath the ache, a rhythm, gentle and ancient. That whisper is love speaking through another tongue. It says, "I was never absent. I only removed the distractions that kept you from seeing me." The veil begins to thin. The body is the canvas where the soul's transformation is painted. When light presses against shadow, friction occurs, and you feel it as pain. Yet this friction is necessary. Without it, nothing would move. The universe itself was born through tension, expansion and contraction, breath and return. So too does the soul expand through trial, stretching its limits until it can hold more light. Suffering is a kind of fire, but it burns only what is false. The ego fears this purification, mistaking it for destruction. But the one who surrenders discovers that the flames do not consume, they refine. The gold of the heart shines brightest after being placed in this furnace. The real tests not to break, but to polish. Only through heat does reflection become clear. Pain speaks in a language older than words. It does not ask to be silenced, but to be understood. When you meet it with resistance, it deepens. When you meet it with awareness, it transforms. The mystic learns to sit with pain as with a teacher, listening for its lesson. Each throb, each tear carries a message. Return to the center. You have wandered too far from the still point of trust. There is a sweetness hidden within every sorrow, but it reveals itself only when you stop fighting. The moment you stop asking, "Why me?" and begin whispering, "Show me," the veil lifts slightly. The real does not delight in your suffering. He delights in your awakening. What breaks your heart is what opens your eyes. Pain is the cost of new sight. Through pain, time slows. The mind, once rushing, is forced into the present. You notice breath again, heartbeat again, existence again. In this slowing, remembrance returns. The veil teaches presence through necessity. You cannot escape the now when it burns. And within that stillness, healing begins, not as escape, but as acceptance. Every pain contains a seed of transformation. If watered with patience, it becomes wisdom. If resisted, it becomes bitterness. The difference lies not in the pain itself, but in how it is received. The mystic knows this and greets pain as he would greet prayer, with surrender. He whispers, "This too is you," and in that recognition, the veil softens. The real hides himself in contrasts. Just as light defines itself through shadow, joy reveals its depth through sorrow. Pain and awakening are not opposites. They are consecutive breaths of the same reality. To feel deeply is to be alive to the divine pulse. The numb heart cannot awaken, for it has sealed itself from both pain and light. To openness is vulnerability, and vulnerability is the path. Sometimes pain comes not from the loss of something, but from the arrival of truth. The light of awareness can be blinding at first. The self resists, seeing its illusions collapse. Yet what feels like death is birth. The caterpillar mourns the loss of its form, not realizing it is becoming wings. Awakening always begins with grief for what cannot remain. The veil does not fall all at once. It thins through tears, softens through patience, dissolves through prayer. Each act of surrender loosens its threads. When the heart no longer seeks to escape pain, the veil becomes translucent. You begin to see mercy shimmering behind every ache. You begin to thank the wound for opening what comfort had sealed. The mystic finds beauty even in struggle. He knows that the real hides within opposites, that sweetness lies within bitterness, that freedom hides within surrender. He does not seek to numb himself, for numbness is the true prison. To feel fully is to witness the divine at work. Pain, when embraced, becomes revelation. There is no awakening without descent. You must walk through the shadowed valleys to find the mountain of light. The soul learns balance only by meeting both extremes, joy and grief, expansion and contraction. Pain humbles the heart, softening it for revelation. The one who has never ached deeply cannot truly see deeply. The wound teaches depth. Sometimes awakening comes quietly, like dawn after a storm. You look back and realize the pain that seemed unbearable has become your teacher. You see how it redirected you, how it stripped away falsehood, how it carved space for compassion. Gratitude arises where bitterness once lived. You bow, not in defeat, but in understanding. The real never wastes pain. Every hardship becomes material for transformation. Even despair, when held with faith, becomes prayer. The angels gather the tears of those who trust in trial. Each tear becomes a jewel in the unseen realm. Suffering, offered with surrender, becomes light that guides others lost in their own darkness. Thus, the veil becomes a bridge. When awakening finally pierces through, pain loses its name. What was once unbearable now feels sacred. The same fire that burned now warms. The same weight that crushed now grounds. You realize that nothing was ever against you. It was all the real moving through you, sculpting remembrance into your form. The veil was only love in disguise. There is no veil, no separation, no suffering, only awareness. Pain was never punishment. It was the sound of God knocking gently upon the heart. Those who answered found not torment, but tenderness. They discovered that awakening is not freedom from pain, but seeing pain as part of the beloved's touch. The wound was the doorway. Love was waiting on the other side. And when the veil finally falls away completely, what remains is stillness, vast, luminous, whole. You no longer ask why things happened. You see how every ache was a thread woven into divine perfection. Pain was not the opposite of peace. It was its messenger. And in that knowing, the soul smiles through its tears, for it has awakened to the truth. Every hurt was a call to return home. Beneath the ribs, hidden from the noise of thought and the trembling of desire, there lies a secret garden. It is not made of earth, yet all creation is rooted in it. The real planted this sanctuary within you, so that even when you wander far, there would remain a place untouched by distance. Few have entered it, for its gate opens only when the heart grows silent. To seek it through effort is to miss it. It reveals itself when you stop searching and begin remembering. This garden is watered not by rain, but by remembrance. Each breath that carries the name nourishes it. Each sigh of gratitude makes its roots deepen. The flowers that bloom here are not seen by the eyes, but felt by the soul. Patience, serenity, trust, love. Even when you feel barren, the seeds remain alive beneath the surface. They await the warmth of surrender to sprout again. The ribs were made to protect this sacred space. They curve like the walls of a shrine, sheltering the tender flame of awareness. The real guards his treasure within fragility. He hides strength in what appears soft. The mystic knows this and does not despise his humanity. for he sees it as the veil that preserves divinity. The body is not the prison of the soul, but its garden wall. When the heart is heavy, it is because the garden has been left untended. Neglect allows the weeds of fear and anger to grow wild, choking the flowers of peace. Yet the soil of this garden is merciful. One moment of remembrance can revive it. Even a single tear shed in longing becomes rain. The real never lets his garden die. He only waits for you to water it again. Silence is the gatekeeper of this garden. Words cannot enter, for they disturb its stillness. Here, speech dissolves into breath, and thought becomes fragrance. When the tongue grows quiet, the heart begins to sing. Its melody is not sound but vibration, the same pulse that sustains the stars. Every true healing begins from this inner harmony, where spirit and body share one rhythm. Pain cannot enter this garden. It remains outside, transformed at the threshold into wisdom. Grief arrives as storm but departs as rain, leaving the air clean. Nothing impure survives here, for the very soil turns poison into perfume. The one who enters with sorrow leaves with serenity. The real built it this way so that even suffering serves as gardener. The mystic walks this garden through remembrance. He does not force entry, he invites awareness to lead. Each breath is a step, each heartbeat a doorway. As he moves inward, the noise of the world fades, replaced by the hum of divine intimacy. He finds no boundaries, no separation, only presence. The garden expands endlessly, for it is made from the fabric of light. The trees in this garden bear strange fruit. Some are called insight, others compassion, others patience. They ripen only in shadow, nourished by solitude. When the soul tastes them, bitterness turns sweet. The real makes each fruit unique, for no two hearts bloom in the same pattern. Yet all share one fragrance, the scent of divine remembrance. Here even the wind prays. It moves through the leaves, whispering the name. Every movement, every shift of air, every flicker of breath becomes worship. To live from this garden is to live in continuous dhikr. You no longer remember Allah with effort. You remember because it is your nature to do so. Remembrance becomes the atmosphere through which you exist. When the seeker first glimpses this garden, he weeps, not from sadness, but from recognition. He realizes he has searched the world for what was always within his own chest. He remembers the day when all souls answered the call, "Am I not your Lord?" And he understands that this garden was planted in that moment. It is the echo of the first yes. This garden is the meeting place of opposites. Within its boundaries, sorrow and joy embrace. Pain becomes beauty, and longing becomes fulfillment. The real made it so that nothing within you is wasted. Every emotion, every trial, every joy becomes nourishment for its soil. What you thought was loss was compost for growth. The soul learns to bless even its decay. The light here is soft, neither day nor night. It does not cast shadows, for there is no division. Everything glows gently from within. This is the light of awareness, not blinding, not fleeting, but constant. It illuminates without burning. The mystic rests in it and feels no need to understand. He knows that the secret of healing lies in allowing, not explaining. Every heartbeat is an invitation to re-enter this garden. Each time you breathe with mindfulness, the gate creaks open a little wider. The real never bars you from it. You only forget the path. Remembering is not effort, it is return. The road is as near as your next breath. You do not travel miles to reach it. You travel moments. The fragrance of this garden escapes through cracks in the ribs, perfuming your life with peace. Others sense it when they sit beside you. A calm they cannot name. They think it comes from your words, but it is your silence. It is the echo of what you carry within. The heart in remembrance makes even its stillness healing. The real walks through this garden unseen. You do not find him there. He finds you. When he moves, the air shivers with awe, and the flowers turn inward as if bowing. You feel warmth flood your chest. Not emotion, but presence. It is the sign that the Creator has entered his creation once again. In that moment, you cease being the gardener. You become the garden. Sometimes storms pass through, shaking every branch. They come not to destroy, but to strengthen. The roots grow deeper in their wake. The one who hides from hardship keeps his garden shallow. The one who endures finds it blooming even in drought. The real sends wind so that fragrance may spread. Your pain may be the scent someone else needed to breathe. In the deepest corner of this garden flows a spring, clear, endless, untouchable. It is the source of all vitality. When the seeker drinks from it, exhaustion leaves him. This is not water, but pure remembrance, the taste of divine intimacy. The more he drinks, the lighter he becomes, until even his sorrow begins to glow. The garden beneath the ribs is the meeting place of body and soul. The body gives it ground, the soul gives it light. Healing occurs when they remember their union. The real planted both in harmony, but heedlessness divides them. Awareness restores the rhythm. To live from this garden is to move through the world without leaving paradise. And when awareness fully blossoms, you see that this garden was never yours. You were not its keeper. You were its creation. Every leaf, every drop of dew, every whisper of wind within it is remembrance speaking itself into form. The ribs that once seemed to contain it dissolve, and you realize the garden was never beneath anything. It was the entire universe breathing within your chest. The first thing the soul did when it entered the body was breathe. That breath was not its own. It was the real breathing through it. Every inhale since then has been a renewal of that first divine gift, a quiet remembrance of the moment when spirit met form. The breath does not belong to you. It belongs to the one who sustains you. When you become aware of this, every breath becomes a prayer, and prayer becomes as natural as breathing. The body learns to pray through rhythm, not words. The rise and fall of the chest, the pause between inhale and exhale, the stillness that rests between them. This is its silent dhikr. Even without intention, your breath praises its source. It carries gratitude as fragrance carries the scent of the flower that made it. To breathe consciously is to remember the first covenant, the whisper of bee that called all things into life. The mystic listens to his breath, as others listen to sermons. Each inhalation speaks of mercy entering. Each exhalation tells of surrender returning. The real has hidden entire scriptures within the lungs. You do not read them with the eyes, you recite them with the heart. Every slow, mindful breath turns the body into a living verse, written not in ink but in motion and silence. When you are anxious, your breath shortens. When you trust, it lengthens. The state of the soul is measured by its breathing. The real made it this way, so that your body could be a compass for your spirit. When you feel lost, you need not search for answers in the world. You need only return to the breath. It will guide you home, for it has never forgotten the way. In moments of pain, notice how breath hides. It retreats into corners of the body, afraid to move. The mind tightens, the chest hardens. But if you whisper gently, breathe again, you will feel mercy return. The breath is the gate of healing, the key that unlocks tension. The one who learns to breathe through suffering discovers that every exhale carries release. The prophets understood this secret. Their prayers were not rushed. Their pauses were longer than their words. They knew that silence between phrases was where presence descended. When the breath slows, time itself bows down. The real's nearness becomes tangible, not as thought, but as vibration. That is why the mystics say true prayer begins where speech ends. The breath is the bridge between body and soul. It binds dust and light together with invisible thread. You are not alive because your heart beats. Your heart beats because the breath moves. The real sustains the entire creation through this unseen rhythm. Oceans rising and falling, galaxies expanding and returning, all echoing the same pulse that flows through your chest. To breathe consciously is to participate in divine creation. Each inhale is a new beginning, each exhale a graceful ending. You die and are reborn with every breath. The one who understands this fears no loss, for he has practiced resurrection thousands of times in a single day. Life becomes a continuous act of surrender, effortless and sacred. The mystic does not manipulate his breath. He listens to it. He knows it carries wisdom older than his thoughts. When he inhales, he feels the mercy of the real entering him. When he exhales, he offers himself back in trust. His breathing becomes a rhythm of love, receiving and returning, until giver and receiver become one. Breath is the first teacher of patience. You cannot rush it, nor can you hold it forever. To breathe is to accept the law of balance, expansion and contraction, taking and releasing. The ego resists this flow, grasping for permanence, but the breath gently teaches impermanence as mercy. It whispers, "Let go, for you will be filled again." When the heart aligns with the breath, peace arrives uninvited. The mind quiets, the muscles loosen, the body remembers its harmony. In this stillness, the soul begins to pray without effort. No words, no forms, no gestures, only the steady rhythm of remembrance pulsing through flesh. The real listens to this prayer more than to 1,000 spoken ones, for it is pure sincerity in motion. There is healing hidden in slow breathing. The cells feed on peace as much as on oxygen. Each long inhale restores what worry has stolen. Each gentle exhale clears what regret has gathered. The real designed the body to cleanse itself through rhythm. When the seeker breathes with awareness, he joins the universe in its silent devotion. The mystic knows that breath is not limited to lungs. It fills every space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between stars. It is the breath of the real that sustains existence itself. To breathe with awareness is to join the entire cosmos in worship. Every being praises through its movement. Every atom participates in this sacred exhalation of love. Sometimes the breath becomes heavy, clouded by grief or fear. The mind trembles, and the chest feels caged. Yet even then, one small inhale is enough to reopen the door to grace. The real never withholds his breath. We only forget to receive it. Each breath that enters you is forgiveness taking form. You live because mercy never stops flowing. Breath teaches humility. You cannot own it, command it, or predict its last arrival. It is borrowed light. The one who realizes this becomes gentle, for he knows he moves only through grace. Every sigh becomes gratitude. Every inhale an act of awe. In this awareness, even silence becomes worship, and the body itself begins to glorify its maker. In the rhythm of breathing lies the secret of prayer. When the inhale deepens, it says, "Receive." When the exhale lengthens, it says, "Return." Between them lies the still point where the self disappears. The mystic rests there, neither breathing nor holding, simply existing as witness. That stillness is the heart of all prayer. The prophets breathed light. Their lungs became instruments of revelation. Their exhalations waves of peace upon the world. Each of their breaths carried remembrance, transforming air into presence. The mystic seeks to follow that path, not through imitation, but through sincerity. To breathe with awareness is to inherit their silence. The real has hidden his remembrance in the simplest act, so that no one is ever far from him. You need no ritual to return, no word to repeat, just breathe. Inhale his mercy, exhale your worry. With every breath, the unseen bridge between heaven and earth strengthens. You were made to be this conduit of praise. When all prayers are forgotten and all words fade, breath remains. It becomes the final remembrance. The body's surrender, the spirit's return. Death itself is but the last exhale that completes the cycle. The real receives it as he received the first, with love. The seeker who has learned to pray through breath will not fear this final surrender. He will recognize it as reunion. And so the body learns its sacred rhythm. Inhale mercy, exhale gratitude. With every breath, the unseen garden within blooms. The dust remembers the light, and the soul bows without moving. You were never separate from prayer. You were breathing it all along. The breath that teaches the body to pray is the same breath through which the real whispers, "You were always mine." There is a fire that does not consume, a flame born not of destruction, but of remembrance. It moves unseen through the soul, cleansing what has gathered like dust upon the mirror of the heart. The real placed this fire within every being so that impurity would never be permanent. It does not come to destroy, but to reveal. When it burns, it only burns away what was never truly you. Beneath the ashes, the essence gleams untouched, radiant, eternal. This fire begins in silence. It is not summoned by force, nor controlled by will. It awakens when truth approaches the heart, and the false trembles before it. Every time you confront what is unworthy of the real, the flame flickers. It asks for honesty, not fear. Those who run from it remain covered in soot. Those who face it find themselves made of light. The purification is not punishment. It is love refining itself. When the mystic first feels this fire, he mistakes it for pain. It sears pride, melts attachment, dissolves illusion. The self cries out, believing it is dying, when in truth it is being born anew. The real burns only to reshape. Fire is his language of mercy. Through it, he whispers, "You are more than what you have gathered." To submit to this flame is to remember your own brilliance. The fire that purifies without burning is not outside but within. It rises from the same source that gives warmth to stars. The breath of the real moves through it, feeding it not with wood, but with awareness. Each moment of sincerity adds to its glow. It feeds on falsehood, not flesh. When the seeker becomes truthful, the fire grows bright yet gentle, illuminating without harm. This fire knows what to touch and what to leave untouched. It consumes anger, envy, and greed, yet spares tenderness, humility, and love. It burns the veil, not the soul. The real guards what belongs to him. You may feel emptied by it, but what remains is sacred essence. The mystic learns to thank the flame, for through it he finds his true form. Sometimes the fire arrives through trial, loss, illness, betrayal. The outer world becomes the furnace in which the soul is purified. Yet even here, the burning is guided. The real never allows more heat than the heart can bear. He tempers the flame with mercy, for he knows the strength of every vessel. To trust in this is to stand within the blaze unafraid. The fire's nature is paradox. It hurts and heals, destroys and creates, reveals and conceals. This is the mystery of transformation. What the ego sees as chaos, the spirit recognizes as refinement. The real molds through heat as the potter shapes through pressure. Every discomfort hides divine craftsmanship, turning clay into vessel, vessel into shrine. When you resist the flame, it grows fierce. When you surrender, it becomes soft. The real does not force purification. He invites it. The more you cling to what must fade, the more heat you feel. But when you say, burn what is not you, peace enters even amid fire. The flame becomes companion, not enemy. It moves through you as a friend sent to clear the way. Every true awakening passes through this fire. You cannot reach illumination while carrying the weight of untruth. The path narrows until only truth can pass. The real designed it so that the soul must leave behind what dims it. Through purification, clarity emerges. You begin to see not only what you are, but who has been shining through you all along. This is not the fire of anger. It is the fire of love. It comes from the same source that kindled existence with a single word, be. Love must purify before it unites. To merge with the real, the heart must be made transparent. The fire burns away everything that says I, until only he remains. In that disappearance, union is achieved. The mystic feels this fire, even in stillness. It hums beneath the surface, a living reminder that transformation never ceases. Each breath fans its flame gently. To live with awareness is to live warmed by this sacred heat. The soul glows quietly, steady and pure. The real's touch lingers within the ember of every moment. This fire does not ask for sacrifice. It asks for sincerity. It does not demand that you destroy yourself, only that you stop pretending. Truth is its fuel, falseness, its smoke. When you speak honestly, live humbly and love freely, the fire burns clear. Your being becomes transparent, and light passes through without resistance. That is purity, to be a vessel without distortion. The prophets walked through this fire and emerged radiant. Their trials were not curses, but crucibles. Through every hardship, their hearts expanded, their light intensified. They became mirrors so polished that the real reflected himself through them. The seeker follows this same path, not through imitation, but through trust in the process of refinement. Fire teaches impermanence. It reminds the soul that all forms, all emotions, all moments pass through transformation. What you cling to today will one day become ash, yet nothing real is ever lost. It merely changes expression. Even the smoke of what was once dear rises heavenward as offering. The real accepts all, for all returns to him. When the fire touches grief, it turns to wisdom. When it touches fear, it becomes courage. When it touches darkness, it becomes light. This is its miracle. It does not destroy, it transfigures. The heart that endures its heat becomes a sun, shining with compassion for others still in shadow. Pain becomes prayer, endurance becomes radiance. The one who understands this no longer runs from trial. He sees the flame approaching and bows. He whispers, "Do what you will," and the fire, hearing its own name in his surrender, becomes gentle. What once seared now caresses. The real turns the furnace into fragrance. The seeker emerges cleansed, luminous, free of smoke. This fire refines even intention. It purges hidden pride from devotion, leaving only sincerity. Worship performed in ego turns to ash. Worship performed in love becomes light. The real tests every act through this unseen fire. Only what is true passes through unscathed. What burns away was never meant to remain. At the heart of this mystery lies compassion. The real does not enjoy the burning. He rejoices in the unveiling. Every spark that touches you comes from his mercy, calling you back to your origin. He burns only what keeps you from seeing him. The fire is his tenderness in disguise. It purifies so that he may dwell within you more completely. When the purification is complete, you do not become something new. You become what you have always been. The ash of ego falls away, revealing the ember of divine presence that was there from the beginning. The mystic sees this and weeps, not from sorrow but from recognition. He realizes the fire was not punishment, it was the beloved's embrace. And when the flame settles into stillness, the air glows softly. Nothing is lost, nothing destroyed, only clarity remains. The soul stands transparent as crystal, reflecting the light of the real. The fire that purifies without burning completes its work and rests. You breathe again, untouched yet transformed, and know beyond doubt what the real refines. He never harms. Before the sun lifts its face over the horizon, there is a subtler light that awakens first, the dawn within. It rises not from the east or from the sky, but from the hidden chamber of the heart. When awareness returns to its source, a faint illumination begins to spread through the soul. The real has placed this inner sunrise within every being, so that even in the darkest night, light is never absent. The one who turns inward before dawn meets it early. This dawn has no color, yet all colors come from it. It does not depend on the stars, for it shines even when heaven is veiled. The mystic feels its warmth before it appears, like breath before speech. It begins as stillness, then unfolds into knowing. Nothing external changes, yet everything glows. The soul recognizes its own origin and whispers, "I am being remembered." When this dawn rises, fear dissolves. The shadows that seem so vast shrink into their proper size, wounds lose their sharpness, and longing turns to gratitude. The real's mercy moves silently through the chest, lifting what was heavy, softening what was hard. You realize that the light you sought beyond the world was burning quietly within you all along. What you called awakening is simply remembrance. The dawn within arrives without noise. It does not break the night, it transforms it. Darkness does not flee, it becomes transparent. The mystic sees that light and shadow were never enemies, but partners in revelation. Without night, dawn would have no contrast. Without contrast, no recognition. The real hides himself in opposites, so that you may find him in all. Every breath taken in awareness draws this dawn closer. Each act of patience, each moment of sincerity clears the horizon of the heart. The real does not withhold light. It is only the clouds of heedlessness that cover it. When you let go of the need to control, when you release judgment, the veil thins and the first light begins to shimmer. The dawn was never far, only the eyes were closed. The mystic greets this dawn, not with words but with silence. He knows that to speak too soon is to disturb its arrival. He sits still, breathing softly, watching the inner horizon glow. The real paints his being with a light so gentle that even the soul must adjust to its brilliance. It is a beginning that feels like completion, a birth that feels like homecoming. This dawn rises differently for each seeker. For some it comes through grief, for others through surrender. But its essence is the same: awareness awakening to itself. The path does not matter, for the destination is one. The real uses every experience, pain, joy, silence, to turn you toward this hidden sunrise. Every night endured was a preparation for this moment. When the dawn expands, you begin to see the world as reflection, not separation. The trees, the sky, the faces around you, they shine with the same light that now glows inside. The division between inner and outer dissolves. The real is not found in one or the other, but in the meeting point between them. This is unity, the true morning. The seeker once thought the light would arrive as ecstasy. Instead, it comes as peace. No thunder, no revelation, just stillness so complete that even joy grows quiet. The heart rests in its rhythm, the mind in its silence. The real has no need to announce his presence. His nearness is self-evident. The dawn within speaks only through serenity. The body once burdened feels lighter, as though the bones themselves remember lightness. Breath deepens, thoughts soften, and gratitude rises unbidden. Healing begins not through effort, but through alignment. The cells listen to the silence and find their order. The dawn within teaches the body to trust again, to move in harmony with the unseen rhythm that sustains all things. This inner dawn does not pass with the hours. It does not fade with the setting sun. It becomes the constant glow that accompanies awareness. The mystic who lives in this light no longer chases enlightenment. He embodies it. He moves through the world as if each step reveals a reflection of eternity. His eyes see the real everywhere because they have seen him within. In this light, forgiveness blooms naturally. You see that those who wounded you were lost in their own night. The dawn shows that no one is beyond the mercy of awakening. Judgment melts into compassion, resentment into understanding. You become gentle, not out of weakness, but from clarity. You know that the same sun that rises in you will one day rise in all. The dawn also reveals the purpose of pain. You understand that every sorrow carved space for light to enter. Without the breaking, there would have been no room for illumination. What once felt cruel now appears as grace in disguise. The real writes his wisdom through contrast, and the soul reads it only when it has learned to wait for the morning. To live in this dawn is to live in balance. You are no longer tossed between extremes of joy and sorrow, gain and loss. You walk the middle path, the horizon between night and day. The real made this balance the heart of existence. The mystic abides there, unshaken by storm or silence. His peace is not borrowed, it radiates from the center. The dawn within is generous. It does not rise for your sake alone, but for all creation through you. The light that awakens in your heart extends outward, healing others in ways unseen. Presence itself becomes a form of prayer. Wherever you go, the air softens, the tension lifts, for light does not argue, it simply illuminates. There is humility in this dawn. It carries no pride, no claim of enlightenment. It moves quietly, content to warm without boasting. The mystic learns from it that greatness lies in gentleness. The real does not shout his power, he whispers through stillness. The dawn within teaches you to shine without seeking attention, to be like the morning that arrives simply because it must. As the light strengthens, the heart expands until it can no longer contain itself. It spills over into everything: speech, touch, silence, even sorrow. All becomes infused with tenderness. The mystic begins to see creation not as multitude, but as motion within one infinite body. The dawn reveals this unity not through concept, but through vision born of love. This awakening does not end the journey. It transforms it. You continue to move, to breathe, to live, but now with awareness that every step is sacred. The real walks through you, speaks through you, loves through you. There is no destination left to reach, for the traveler and the path have become one. The dawn no longer rises, it abides. Even light transcends itself. The one who has awakened no longer speaks of dawn or night, of darkness or illumination. All distinctions fade into the brilliance of pure being. The real becomes the only horizon. There is no coming or going, only endless presence. In that eternal radiance, you rest, silent, infinite, complete. And so the dawn that rises from within is not a moment, but a remembering. It is the soul awakening to what it has always been. the reflection of divine light, the mirror of the eternal morning. The real never stopped shining, only the heart had turned away. Now it faces the source again, and the world glows anew. The night was never an end, it was the prelude to this everlasting dawn. When you reach the edge of your understanding, remember, that is where the real begins. Every ending that frightens you is merely a curtain pulled across the next unveiling. What you call impossible is only the moment before divine command says be. The heart was made to break so light could pass through it. The soul was taught to fall so it could rise without illusion. Do not rush to escape your night, for it is the ink with which your dawn is written. The real does not abandon, he rearranges. What slips from your hands was never lost. It was returned to the one who knows how to give it back in perfect form. So breathe, trust, and let the unseen unfold. The way is already open. It has only been waiting for your surrender.